Alright guys, welcome to the video here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace the rear sheave on this Caterpillar TL6 telehandler. The sheave is what that chain is wrapped around. If you look at that chain, we are already in a recipe for disaster with how it's sitting up against the bracket. And I hope you enjoy because the outcome gets pretty bad. So guys, we need to loosen the chain tension here to be able to remove the sheave from the chain at the rear of the machine. To do this, we're going to put the boom at about level as possible, boom out just a little bit, and then we're going to loosen the chain tension. Alright guys, so before we start breaking these jam nuts loose, we got to take a measurement. This measurement is we are measuring from the end of the second jam nut to the end of the stud. We want to use this as a reference so we know when we put this back together what our tension should approximately be. This isn't the proper way to set the tension, but you want to have a reference point of when you put it back together around where you should be. That being said, if your tension is correct or close to correct. So there is a whole procedure to set chain tension properly, but this is a good starting point to get your reference. These jam nuts are 1 3/8 and guys, they are tight. You'll see me fight with them for a while, but once you break them free, for the most part, they are pretty easy going most of the time. Sometimes you got to run them all the way with a wrench, and sometimes you can do them by hand after you break them loose, but they are tight. So guys, the outer jam nut should screw by hand nice and easy, just like this. If it doesn't, your threads are messed up, either on your nut or on your stud. You'll probably be able to tell that just by looking, but it should screw off easy. The next nut is a very slow process. You're going to have to crank it a long time with a wrench until you break enough of the tension to where you can hopefully screw it by hand. But guys, make sure you're always wearing gloves when you do this. These nuts will sometimes get burrs and metal slivers on them, and you don't want them to go into your hand. Trust me from experience, wear your gloves, keep your hands safe. You do not want steel slivers in your hand. So this whole process to unscrew this second jam nut took me, I think, about 5 minutes. It's a pretty slow process, guys, and your forearms are going to be sore. Alright guys, so for this next part, it makes it a lot easier if you have another helper. I have another technician to do this. He's up in the cab. I am here at the rear of the machine on the boom. I'm showing you guys what the inside looks like I already showed you. So to do this, as he moves that boom forward and back, you're going to see that that chain is going to get sloppy. What you want to try to get it when it's at its sloppiest point, when it's its loosest, and that's when you want him to stop the boom. Make sure for this point that you have your boom level. You don't want to have it tilted back up in the air, and you don't want to have it down. So you need to make sure that you have it level, and you got to be safe. Don't put your hands in there. Make sure you are in good communication with whoever is on the controls.
Towards me. There we go. Okay. Bring it all the way in. Okay. Boom out, slight, slow. Right there. That's good. You can kill it.
Alright guys, to get this sheave out, it is super easy. There is a greaser on the right side, which I'm going to take out. It is an 11mm. And then there is 2 bolts that hold in basically a retaining clip on the left side of the sheave that are 13mm. There's a greaser in my hand. And then you just got to get the pin out, and then the sheave will fold right up with the chain. Now I'm going to take a long punch and stick it into that side hole and just tap out this pin. It should come out real easy, and you will see me pull that retaining plate off. You can see it there with the 2 holes. Going to pull that out. And then I'm going to slide the pin on out. So guys, as soon as I pulled this pin out, I knew we were going to have problems. You can see the heavy scoring right there by my thumb. I knew this was going to get real bad, and you're about to see this turned into a serious repair.
Oh, shit.
So guys, what's happened here, the sheave is worn into the mounting bracket very badly. The hole has become wallowed out, and this just became very expensive. Now guys, I'm going to get this cleaned up very carefully. There's lots of burred metal and lots of things that could definitely rip through my gloves and go into my hand. So we're going to scrape stuff off with a pry bar, get it cleaned up with some brake clean so we can take some accurate photos, because I had to send this up the chain. Because now this sheave replacement has turned into, they're going to have to separate the boom, they're going to have to repair the hole and the metal bracket, and then they're going to have to line bore it. So this quick repair just turned into a massive repair. So guys, this is what happens when you don't grease stuff. Always grease stuff. But guys, I am still going to replace the sheave. It comes out of the chain super easy. You just pick the chain up to get your slack, and then you're going to just literally slide the sheave out of the side. Super simple. The reason why I am replacing the sheave and the pin still is because I don't want to cause any more damage to the bracket than has already been caused. So we're trying to, at this point, we're basically trying to sacrifice the new sheave, which is a very cheap part compared to what this repair is going to be. So we'll get this put back together with some new parts to literally load it on a truck to ship it off to our facility that can repair it. Now guys, we're going to boom back in after we got the sheave and everything back in to make sure before we start tightening our chains back down that everything is in place and correct. You don't want to tighten down the chains if you still got slack. So everything looks good. We're going to start tightening up that jam nuts up front. Alright guys, so now that we're putting this back together, when I first took this apart, I told you that I marked 3 inches of distance between the jam nut to the end of the stud. Now, if I was putting this back together for it to go out on rent, I would put this back to approximately 2.5 to about 2 3/4 inches, and then I would follow the procedure to get the chain to the correct tension. However, in this case, since this machine is not going on rent, it's going to go directly to our heavy repair facility. I am just going to put this down to about 2.5 inches, which is where it ends up. And then I'm going to tighten it down. I'm going to cycle it a little bit and make sure it's not loose or not too tight. And then it's literally going to go in the yard and go directly to another facility. When you're doing it back, or when you're sending it back to a customer, getting ready to go back on rent, guys, make sure you follow the procedure and take the time to do it correctly. This is something you do not want to mess up. You don't want to get it too tight or too loose. Always follow the book. Alright guys, that's going to sum it up, but let's talk about why this happened. First and foremost, this happened from the equipment not being greased. The pin came out dry, you could see the metal that was just eaten away, you could see the damage that had been caused. Grease would have definitely helped prevent a lot of that damage, not saying it would have stopped it, but it would have prevented it significantly. The other reasons are, well, one, this equipment is abused, it gets overloaded, and stuff doesn't get adjusted. Basically, the equipment faces heavy amounts of neglect, and what ends up happening is over time that sheave will start to pull to the left like what it did. If you can catch it ahead of time, it just is a sheave and a pin replacement. But when you let it go way too long, like what happened in this instance, the sheave digs into the bracket, it ends up hollowing out the hole where the pin goes, and it turns into a major repair. So guys, inspect your equipment properly, grease your equipment, and guys, heavy repairs are going to find you if you don't maintain your equipment. But anyways guys, that is going to sum up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, please shoot me a like and a subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and stay tuned for more content. Thanks guys.